everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Spirit Speaker KC podcast. I'm psychic medium Jamie Collins. Welcome to this episode. So, full disclosure, a couple of months ago, I had something happen to me, and I thought this would be maybe a good topic to talk about on this episode. Not a very long episode, but I thought I would bring this up. And I want to talk today a little bit about ethics in mediumship and what that means. And really, quite simply, I feel like ethics is in mediumship sometimes knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it. And I think sometimes that can get a little bit skewed when we're watching television shows and TV productions. And Hollywood has made it where you will see a medium go up to someone in a grocery store or a doctor's office or wherever it may be and just give readings. And one of the things that I've always been taught during my time of study, and one of the things that I really stress to mediums that I'm developing or helping develop in classes or development circles are those ethics. And that's because a lot of time beginning or developing mediums are so excited to be able to connect with spirit that sometimes they have a tendency to read everybody, no matter where they are. They're asking everybody, do you want a reading? I can give you a reading. I'm practicing my mediumship. I'm developing. And, it's what I always like to call that leaky faucet. They're always on. Drip, drip, drip. Spirit is around. Now, depending on your belief system, spirit is always around, that we're a world within the world, that there's really not that much space or difference between the physical world and the spirit world, that it's all around us, just in another frequency. So what happens with a lot of developing mediums is they want to read all the time. I remember one student I had in my development circle, right when she was beginning to read, she was reading everyone at work or telling people that she was a developing medium and was reading everyone at work. And I said, you can't do that. You just can't go around reading everyone. And even at the very least, if you do want to practice or develop, practice your giving readings, I think it's always important to tell or ask a person if it's okay if you read them. You could say, hey, I'm studying mediumship, I'm practicing, I'm developing. Would you mind a reading? Could I give you a reading? Not everyone believes in mediumship. I think we've talked about that in some past episodes, that not everyone believes in mediumship. My own brother is one. He's not quite sure. When you're dead, you're dead. You can't communicate with them. So, I'm a believer that not everyone has that belief. So that's why you ask permission if it's okay to do a reading. Not like on TV where they just walk up to the person and say, hey, I have a message. Your dad is here. Can I give you a message? I really feel like it's important to do that. And I'm a big believer in practicing what I preach. I'm not someone who goes up to people and says, hey, I have a message for you. If I'm in the dentist office or doctor's office or grocery store, wherever at work, I don't do that. And I have had people ask me at work, but I really like to keep boundaries. And I've always had an agreement with spirit that though I know you're always around, I got to have boundaries. And from 8 to 5 or whatever my work hours are, I don't want to be getting nudged, tapped on the shoulder, or sensing you that you're around and please give a message to someone. I believe that I I deserve to have a human life, a physical life, and I must draw boundaries with spirit. You know, I've had people come to me and say, "Hey, Jamie, spirit is keeping me up at 3 o'clock in the morning or waking me up and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, well, have you ever set boundaries with spirit and say, thank you for being here? I sense you, I feel you, but really, I can't have you around. I deserve to be able to get a good night's sleep. So that's kind of always been my thing with spirit is I set boundaries and I say to spirit, unless I'm teaching or I'm in a session or it's something intentional or deliberate, please don't harass me. Don't wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever the case may be. But I have also said to spirit that if a message really does need to get to that person, I'm here to serve you. I am an ambassador for spirit. Sometimes I like to call myself a spirit ambassador. It sounds cooler than psychic medium or medium. And so I'm here to serve spirit and be that ambassador for spirit. So I have told spirit if there's ever a time that a message truly needs to get delivered, please feel free to let that come through. And spirit has pretty much always followed that. And that's what kind of brought me to the topic of ethics today, because a couple of months ago, I was having a medical procedure and I had to go under for this procedure. Nothing major, but I was under the influence of anesthesia. And so I have this short procedure and I come out, I'm in recovery. I come out from under the anesthesia and the anesthesia nurse is there calling my name and waking me up. Now, I don't know if you've ever been under or if you're a person who's never had that experience of being under anesthesia, but it's almost in a way of feeling loopy. Some people might call it feeling hungover, maybe not drunk, but hungover. And so as I'm coming out of the anesthesia, I'm feeling loopy. I'm completely out of it. And with the anesthesia nurse there, immediately, I mean, I was not trying to obviously connect with spirit, but I just blurted out to the nurse, your father is here. Now, mind you, this isn't just myself. My sister is a witness to this. She was in the recovery room with me. And so I said to the nurse, after I said, I feel your dad here, is your dad in spirit? And she's kind of writing away and says, yes. And so I just, again, no filter. I normally would not even remotely think of doing anything like this, but it was like I had no choice. This was going to be done. And her dad, I felt him standing right there. And her dad, I sensed that her dad wanted me to let her know how proud of her that he was. And so I told her that. I said, I want to let you know that your dad is here and he wants you to know how proud he is of you. And the nurse is just kind of writing. I couldn't really tell if she was buying what I was saying or really believing what I was saying. And so then my sister goes, I think something to the effect of, it's okay. Like, this is what she does. She's a medium. And again, I'm still loopy. Like, I just can't believe that I'm doing this, but I could sense the urgency from her dad that he wanted her to know. And so she just kind of nods. I don't get a yay or nay about anything except the exception, with the exception that her father is in spirit. And there was this feeling of this sensing as I teach students that I don't always believe that spirit is talking to us because, again, they don't have a physical body. They don't have vocal cords. How can they talk to us? So it's really an impression. It's a sensing, that clairsentience. If you're a medium out there, a developing medium, I was sensing, it was a strong sense of clairsentience. And her dad wanted to come through and let her know that he was proud of her. And she, again, I don't know if that resonated with her at all or anything, because again, she didn't respond. So she leaves, and in comes another nurse. And this nurse, I felt a woman with her that felt like a younger female. And actually, too, and I asked if her mom was in spirit with a younger female. Would she understand that? And she says, yes. I said, well, your mom and what feels like her friend or sister are here. And she proceeds to say, yes, both her mom and sister are in spirit. And I didn't really sense anything with them, with the exception of hi. This really felt for me like moments where their loved ones were around, wanting them to know that, one, they were around, and there was just a sense of pride that their loved ones had for these nurses. Like, I don't know if they ever had the opportunity in the physical for the anesthesia nurse. I don't know if dad ever got to see her be a nurse, be an anesthesia nurse. I don't know, because I didn't like go into a full-fledged reading. I just felt that this needed to be said. And so then with the other nurse, your mom and sister, yes, they are both in spirit. Well, they're proud of you and the work that you're doing as a nurse. And she was a lot more receptive to it, because then she kind of gives me the story a little bit about her sister, not her mom so much, but her sister. She proceeds to tell me a little bit. And I think I brought this up, and why this topic resonated with me with ethics is because, as my sister will tell you, as some friends will tell you that I've told the story to, I felt horrible. I literally felt horrible at least for 2 days. That day, on my way in the car with my sister, all day that day, I was beating myself up, because I teach that. I truly believe that you don't just put that on someone and give random messages like that. I didn't even say, I'm a medium. This is what I do. This is what it means. Because again, you have to remember, I'm woozy. I'm out of it. I'm not even sure all of what I'm saying. I just know what I was feeling. And I felt these two women, I felt their loved ones as though they were standing right there next to the bed, next to me. And they wanted their loved ones to know that they were there and they were proud. So when I'm driving home and I'm telling my sister, I can't believe I did that. I was emotional. I'm still out of it too. I couldn't even drive home. They make someone come with you because, of course, you've been under anesthesia. You're kind of loopy and out of it. And so I'm just bemoaning the fact to my sister, like, what the hell did I just do? And I had, after talking with my sister and talking to people, I just came to the conclusion that the messages needed to be delivered. And sometimes, as a medium, we don't have control on what is said, how it is said, when it is said, because it could have been very easily, I could have sensed dad saying something like, let let my daughter have your business card, or let her know what you do, and maybe give her a free reading later on. I didn't feel that. I felt her dad standing beside my bed, and he wanted his daughter to know that he was proud. And so what I came to the conclusion of is, regardless of what I thought, it didn't matter, that the message needed to be delivered. And that's what I did for these two nurses. Now, I don't know them, I don't even remember their names, but I just pray and hope that that gave the anesthesia nurse comfort. Maybe, as I said, I don't know, maybe her dad never got to see her be a nurse, or he never got the opportunity to tell her how proud he was of her. And I just trusted spirit. We talk about in mediumship a lot that trust is one of the biggest things you have to have. You have to trust, one, what you get, the information that you get. And it doesn't always come through the way that you want it to come through, and in the way that you want it to come through, or how you want it to come through. I just had to go and trust spirit that that was the right time for them to receive those messages. And I had to, I believe, be taught by spirit, because, as I said earlier, I had always told spirit, leave me alone, unless I'm doing A, B, C, or D, unless my agreement with spirit is unless the message really needed to be delivered. And I've always told students that sometimes the best teacher is not a teacher, a physical teacher anyway. It will be the teacher of spirit. And I believe spirit, the teacher that day, was heeding me at what I was always my agreement with them of, don't give the message unless it's truly needed. And spirit was like, hey, Jamie, you told us that, so we're going to deliver the message. So that's what made me think of ethics, because I felt bad for a couple days. I did. I beat myself up. I questioned spirit. Believe me, I had my conversations with spirit, like, really? Are you serious? Is this how you wanted to do that? And I just kind of got a chuckle, kind of felt a laugh with spirit, like, hey, this is what you said. So I just wanted you to know that in those rare moments, this is that I can think of, maybe only the second time. I can remember one other time at another job that I had, that a gentleman at work, I felt a woman coming through for him. And I told him what I did, and would he be okay if I gave him the message? And he was okay. So it's only twice in 13, 14 years of doing mediumship that this has ever happened out of the blue like that. So that's why I tell developing students, practicing mediums who've been doing it a long time, who may disagree with me, there are ethics in mediumship. You don't go around just giving messages to random people without getting their okay. And sometimes ethics is even about the way we deliver messages. Ethics, you would say, what else? It could be maybe that someone has crossed themselves over from death by suicide. And you don't have to get all graphic. You don't have to say during the reading, I have someone here who crossed themselves over, and they hung themselves by the tree, and you don't have to say all that. You don't. You can just say, I have someone here who's responsible for their passing. Or if you want to say death by suicide, someone may have been in a car accident. I remember that happened to me once. Someone passed in a car accident, and I could very well see that they were decapitated. I don't need to say that. I don't. Ethics. I didn't need to say that. I just said I have a loved one here who was in an accident, a very gruesome, serious accident, and they died upon impact. Would you understand that? Yes. I don't have to go and be all descriptive about what I'm seeing. So that's what I mean by ethics. Believe me, their loved one knows how that loved one passed or what happened to them. So we don't always have to be graphic. I always tell students, imagine it was you on the receiving end, and how would you like to receive that information? And usually, pretty much people understand it if you put yourself in the sitter's position. So I hope that kind of gives you kind of a look at ethics, what could happen. And I wasn't trying. I think that sometimes in what I have discovered in mediumship is sometimes those times that I'm not really trying to connect with spirit is when sometimes they will slip in or come in the back door or want to tap you on the shoulder. I remember one time, 7, 8 years ago, I was doing an event in Dubuque, Iowa, and I was on break. I was sitting outside. It was a gorgeous day, and I'm eating on an apple. And I look across the parking lot, and this woman is walking. And I kid you not, this woman looked exactly like my mother. The pants she had on, the top she had on, she had like a plastic bag wrapped around her wrist, just like my mom would sometimes carry a plastic bag. In fact, I have it. I believe I have a picture of it, or it's on a quilt or something. And I wasn't trying. So I think it's really interesting how sometimes when you're not trying to connect, how spirit will come through. And goes back to what we were saying earlier, that the spirit world is always around. And if they want to get a message across, they will get a message across. And what I hope you can take away from this about ethics is really just to be thoughtful about how we deliver a message. Approach people if you do feel inclined to give a message to someone, that you ask them first. Tell them you're a medium. And you believe you have a message. And if they say yes, great, deliver the message. If they say no, you move on. So I hope that helps. I'd love to hear your comments about this. If you've ever experienced, if you're a medium and you've ever had the experience of being under anesthesia, be careful. Spirit may come through, because I tell you, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. And even to this day, when I think about it, I still can't believe that I did it. I still just like, oh my gosh, don't ever do that again. But I truly tell spirit, when it needs to be done, it needs to be done. And I took the risk. I had the option. I didn't have to deliver the message. I didn't. And probably had I been sober or not under the influence of anesthesia, I probably wouldn't have delivered it. Maybe, I don't know, because I would have been in my brain. I would have been thinking about it. I'd have been in my head and, oh, I can't do that. No, what if they don't believe? Nah. I would have been in my head. And I believe in the intelligence of the spirit world. And they probably like, aha, here we have Jamie. She's under the influence. She's not really thinking straight. We'll use this as an opportunity. So that's another thing that, kind of got me with it. Had I been sober or not under the influence, I probably wouldn't have delivered it. And maybe spirit knew that. So that was just a quick little story. Just gives you something to think about. Thank you so much for um, tuning in to the Spirit Speaker podcast. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you'd like to hear more stories, let me know. I know I've posted and had some interview guest on with interviews. If you like those, let me know. More of those, less of those, more of mediumship, more of something else. Let me know. But that experience just really made me want to talk about this. So again, don't forget to subscribe. If you're not a watcher of YouTube, don't forget I'm on Spotify as well. And I thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Take care.